Jobs developed the iPhone, nobody knew that they wanted an iPhone with the touch screen. But it had
Correct.
the Apple's resources behind it to be able to do the market, and it had a guy like Steve Jobs who people
Yeah.
listened to. So he
Yeah.
was able to create a new market. In order to create a new market, you have to have a lot of resources most of the time. I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time. Because I understood accounting, I understood business, I was able to produce the technical solution for the customer, which made the customer happy. And I was able to do that because CSC project manager helped me understand, he taught me everything that I know about the business and accounting.
Organizations they preach that focus on your employees so your employees can take care of your customers, but you are actually living it.
Trying to do my homework on ChatGPT is not an AI application. AI can write code and all that is great, and you should definitely use it because it increases your productivity. But that is not an innovation. AI is going to take away all my jobs. It's never going to
Yeah.
happen.
Welcome, Manish. Welcome to the Customer Thrive Zone. Good
Thank
morning to
you.
you.
Good morning.
It is great to have you on our community. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my audience as well. It is a fantastic day here in Virginia, and I hope you are all having a great time wherever you are joining from this morning. Um, Let me give you a brief introduction to our host. But before we get started, I wanted to share the topic of the conversation we are going to have today. It's essentially building customer-centric startups. And my guest today has built not one, not two, but three startups from the ground up. And Manish, if I am misspeaking and you have more in you under your belt there, under your hat there, please let us know. But a little introduction to my guest today. Manish Bhansali. Manish, you started your IT career in software development in the late 90s. Computer Associates, CSC, CSRA, all of these are big names in the service delivery space. Eventually, CSRA also became GDIT. And so service delivery for technology projects, that's literally your strong suit. That's what you do. Specialties including client sales, team management, product delivery, program leadership, systems integration, technology needs assessment, means the list goes on. But throughout your experience in IT, you have essentially solved business problems and solved them with a two-pronged approach. Uh, Building the sound IT strategy and then building trusted team relationships. So whether it's a large scale, small scale transformation program, custom applications, or consumer technologies, I think you have essentially strived to build trusted relationships. And the end goal is to help your clients navigate through today's technology landscape. So I know I've said a lot here, but I was very impressed when I was introduced to you, and knowing your background and then knowing what you're doing now. So bear with me a couple more minutes. I'm going to go share with our audience today what you are doing currently. So you are the co-founder at Sklick. You are also the co-founder and CTO at Golden Sherpa. You are the founder and CEO of Right IT Solutions. And Sklick is an enterprise SaaS platform for all organizations of all sizes. Employees can find, connect, and collaborate with colleagues based on their skills. And this is a global on demand platform. So it's a first of a kind, data driven. It offers a first of its kind, data driven, objective measure of skills, which is through its metric called the Sklick factor. I want to know a little bit more about this, by the way. So, Golden Sherpa, your second startup, is a global platform offering elder care and senior living solutions for informed decision making. And then lastly, but not the least, Right IT Solutions is an employee focused IT consulting company, and your mission is to build a great company that is focused on attracting, developing, motivating, and retaining retaining exceptional people, because you strongly believe that happy employees create exceptional results for your customers. uh, all of this, Manish, I mean, this is what I preach in customer success. So this is truly the root of everything that we do in customer success, customer experience today. So let me start at the building. Welcome once again to the Customer Thrive Zone. It is an honor and a pleasure to host you. Um, Tell me what I missed. Your journey from where you started your career to today. It has been thrilling for you, I'm sure, but it must have its ups and downs. Share a little bit of the salient points with us.
Sure. Thank you, Rajita. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad I'm here. And thank you for accommodating me on scheduling part of it. Uh,
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to be here to share my journey and my experience, and hopefully it provides some feedback or some pointers to people that are trying to build a company or trying to do the startups, especially the young ones. Uh, One of the company I did join very early days was the Realtor.com. That was, you can consider another startup, even though I was not the founder, but I was one of the first few employees that were part of that. So I had some
Awesome.
experience on what it means to be part of startup. Uh, from their startup perspective. And then obviously I worked for a large company like CSC. So I had seen how it works in the larger organizations. So the resources that larger organizations have, the basic infrastructure that they have, and
Yeah.
they still struggle to deliver the, not always, but a lot of times, results that are desired by the customer. And I mean, you see the newspaper articles after articles in all the Washington newspaper on failed projects.
Yeah.
And what you will find, the theme across there, if you line up all the articles of all the failed project, you'll find one theme there. And that is going to be did not meet the requirement and customer is unhappy.
Yeah.
That's and even that do not meet the requirement, that really what it says is we didn't like you,
Yeah.
because there is no such thing as meeting the requirement. There is no company
Yeah.
that's not going to meet the requirement. Every
Yeah.
company has good employees. They all try to do the good job. I mean, we all work for companies. We don't on purpose say I'm not going to meet customer requirement.
Right.
It's a uh, really the failure of the relationships. It's not about technology. It's not about strategy, frankly, because you can have some variation in good and bad strategy, but it cannot be that bad that you will fail. No strategy. It can take longer, but there is no bad strategy. So
Right.
if you
And when
ask me
the
some
relationship is there, the customer actually
customer
accommodates
helps you
for,
actually.
yes.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
and it's not just a customer relationship, it's your peers and your employees' relationship with the leadership is also
Mm-hmm.
important, because they are the one that know the reality. When you are sitting as a project manager or as a account executive, you only have PowerPoints to review,
Yeah.
and PowerPoint have few words on them. They don't communicate the feelings and emotions that are underneath going on there. The only way that you will know about it is if you have the relationships that are open and communicative between your employees, and they have relationship at their counterpart on the customer side. So throughout my experience, I have been part of many large projects. Some of them have failed, and the common theme that what I have learned is projects fail and succeed based on the relationships. And when we get into the conversation, I'll give you some examples, specific examples also that are both failure and success. But
Awesome.
but that's what I would say that in summary, what I learned and what I've strived for.
Amazing. So many learning points, like little points. I almost want to have a parallel line of questions for you just based on the last few sentences that you said. This is so what motivated you to build the three startups? You were they in parallel, or did you start these serially? And all of your startups, right? Right IT, Golden Sherpas, Click, they they adhere or they address the needs of different audience, so to speak. So um, in setting, what is the motivator for you to have started these, and then what defines success in all of these ventures for you?
So they are quite different in nature, right? All three ventures
Right.
are very different, addressing very different sort of problem. I mean, right solutions, which is the main, frankly, that is the already, in my view, already a successful venture.
Yeah.
That is mainly to do with the IT services, but do it differently based on what lessons we have learned over the period between me and I have a co-founder, Ruby Sandhu. Between
Yeah.
us, what lessons we have learned over the last 25 years of our journey through IT services companies. So that's the right solution because we know how to do it. That's what we have done all our life, and we know
Right.
how to do it so that we don't repeat. I'm sure we're making new mistakes, but we are not going to repeat the same mistake that we have seen in the past. Golden
Right.
Sherpa is a very interesting scenario because so I have a very good friend. He introduced me to a woman named Margie, and she had so much passion about because her father was going through very old, needed a place to take care of him, like an assisted living type of situation,
Mm-hmm.
and she had so much hard time just finding a place where she can be less stressed about it because there is no like when you look for your house, for example, you can go to Zillow, you can go to realtor.com, you can go to XYZ, you can go to Google and find houses there and you go visit the houses. In
Yeah.
assisted living, it's more complicated than that because it is specific to your condition, what type of care. There are different levels of care, there are different regulations, and you almost have to visit the thing to see if they are doing what they are supposed to be doing. Meaning, are there nurses on staff? Are there doctors on staff? What is the
Yeah.
ratio room has? So that makes that search very complicated. And who's doing the search? It's mostly kids that are doing the search
Yeah.
who have full-time job and try to
Yeah.
find a house for their parent. They cannot do the visit, and even if they do the visit, they don't even know what to look for because it's so
Yeah.
complicated. And so she was very passionate about it. She approached me and presented this idea and said it's a real problem that needs to be solved that nobody is effectively solving. I mean, there are listings available, but they're just listings. They're not
Mhm.
giving the information to the uh, kids of these parents to be effectively find and be satisfied that it is what they are doing is what it says it's doing. So that's where the Golden Sherpa came from.
Yeah.
It was initially funded. It is, and we are working with the state of Washington on that. So that's why it's right now, and eventually the plan is to get expand it across at least four states is the next stage, and then we'll expand countrywide. But it's a controlled release, if you will, at the moment of that application. And then the Click is the third platform. It has actually two components to it. One is the enterprise component, and then there's one is for the students. Student one is called Instera. It is for again, when we were doing the click, we found it addresses the enterprise needs, and we can talk about the click factor and other niches of it. Essentially, I think about it like it's a linked your enterprise linked in with data-driven platform. That's what enterprise
Mhm.
platform is. But the
Mhm.
Instera is actually more interesting to me because I mean, I'm sure your kids are trying to find some kind of an internship and they get
Yeah.
listing from the school, but there is no real, I mean, it's a hit and miss at best.
Yeah.
on trying to find the internships. What Instera is striving to do, and it's not, it is completely free platform. There is no money neither paid by the company nor by the student. Uh, we're trying to connect the company that truly looking for interns and connecting their student with those companies. Now that one we are launching both in India as well as in US simultaneously.
Okay.
And so that's a mission is really there again is to make it easier for students because my kids went through it. I told you one of my kids
Yeah.
just finished the college, the other one is in 11th. So they're just observing that the problem they have just to finding this and then I mean, it's easy from frankly, I mean, I can just put them in my company and pretend that they did internship, but that's not a true
Right.
intent of the internship.
Right.
And the reason, so that's the problem that is trying to solve the Sklick platform. So there are three different things. Three different people. I mean, right solution was frankly, and we can get into it when we talk about employee why we started right solution and I left
Yeah.
GBIT.
Yeah.
But the Golden Sherpa is all about somebody, frankly, approaching me with a problem which I felt passionate about because eventually I'm going to get into that same stage
Right.
where I have to take care of myself. And then
Yes.
Instead, and Click is all about there is an enterprise component which is more, I guess, mainstream nowadays. Everybody's trying to build a data-driven platform.
Yeah.
I will always say that ours is different, but that's debatable.
Yeah.
I do think ours is different. That's where this click factor comes into play. But yeah, instead, part of it is really about solving a specific problem for the younger ones.
Yeah. And to that point, all babies are beautiful, but we always think our own babies are the most beautiful. So it doesn't matter. So completely agree with you on that. I'm sure there are differentiators, and you hit upon a very key point in that you started with identifying that this is a true requirement. So, right there, one of the things we talk about in connecting with the customers, with our audience, with in customer success, one of the things I talk about is understand the problem. If you don't understand the problem, it is irrelevant what solution you're offering because it could be the most elegant and the most beautiful solution. But if it doesn't address the customer needs, it really is impossible to be successful. So, what defines success for you in terms of, and you can pick all three, or you can pick any one from
So,
the any one exam from three ventures that you've started. So either way works for me. I'm just going to put the questions out there, and you can bring it to life. You can bring life to it for us.
so before we talk about that, let's
Yeah.
because one of the because I talk to a lot of young kids, they all want to have a startup, and that's like
Yeah.
a fashion word. And especially AI has become a fashion word, right? Everybody
Yes.
talks it, and there is no denying that AI has become an integral part of, especially for our kids. I mean, that by the time
Yeah.
they get into the job market, that's going to be a table stake. Everybody has to have AI background. I mean,
True.
we are kind of lucky because it's just starting. So we'll learn
So
as
we
it goes.
get away with before it actually hits us. But yes, our
Correct.
kids will have to definitely become experts
So,
real quick, real fast.
but the problem, what I've seen is a lot of times when we think about startup, when is there is a tendency to create the idea that may be great ideas, but world hasn't recognized them as a problem yet.
Hmm.
Now, there
Hmm.
is nothing wrong with that, right? But the problem is when you're doing the startup, your resources are very limited. In
Yes.
order for, like when Steve Jobs developed the iPhone, nobody knew that they wanted an iPhone with the touch screen. But it had
Correct.
the Apple's resources behind it to be able to do the market. And it had a guy like Steve Jobs who people
Yeah.
listened to say, this is
Yeah.
what you need. So he
Yeah.
was able to create a new market. In order to create a new market, you have to have a lot of resources most of the time. I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time.
Mhm.
There are a lot of new companies that I meet, and the reason that I meet with a lot of these companies is because they have sometimes unique solution that I can adopt and go to the customer and wow them. But most of the time, reason that these companies don't see the light of the day uh,
Mhm.
is because it lacks that marketing arm. And unfortunately, this world is all about marketing. Well,
Yeah.
it's not about how good your product is. You can have the best product, but if it's
Yeah.
not marketed, if it's not out to the customer, everybody's going to
Yeah.
doubt you whether you had ability
Yeah.
to do. So when you're picking the startup, uh, like you said, having that problem defined and recognized, and then
Mhm.
try to solve that with your idea, is the
Yeah.
approach that you need to really take when you look at that, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then all three startup, like for let's start with the right solution, for example. Um,
Yeah.
we I both of us, both me and Ruby, worked at CSC, CSRA, GDIT for since like 1999 till about 2016. So in
Yeah.
between, I left there for Realtor.com, but 4 or 5 years. So, but still about 15, 20 years, we both worked there.
Yeah.
And there was not, I mean, we were got all the promotions, we got all the I mean, frankly, we were compensated well, all that was good. But from 2013-14 onward, there was a change in the leadership, and the focus of the company changed more on the uh, employees became a commodity.
Yeah.
It became it was all about numbers. It was all about and not even the revenue. It was all about profit margins because company was trying to do is put out for sale. I mean, that's essentially what was going on.
Yeah.
But in that process, those last 3 years, I really enjoyed our time, my time at CSC. Until like about 2013. I mean, I no complaints. It was really challenging and great time. Is from those
Yeah.
last 3 years, all my job was to make a list of people that I can lay off, and not about selling, or not about developing solution, not about creating new areas that we can go into, and that basically made it like we didn't enjoy it. I
Mhm.
mean, Ruby was doing the same thing on the commercial side. I was doing the same thing on the government side of the house in CSC.
Mhm.
And that's where we decided, okay, this is probably the time to leave. I know it's a
Yeah.
risk, leave of all our salaries, everything on the table. And
Yeah.
our kids are about to ready to get to the college at that time. So it was like, okay. uh, but it was just became to the point where we just were not waking up in the morning and going to the work was not something that we look forward to.
Mhm.
And we used to, frankly, that's how the company was. I mean, that, like I said, it was very much rewarding until certain point. But then when we decided to start the company, we sat down and say, okay, why start a new company? What are we going to do differently in IT services that everybody, I mean, you throw in Washington, especially in our area, you throw a stone and it probably land at the IT company. Uh,
Yes.
so
Yes.
what's different, right? What are we going to do differently that will help us to really gain the traction? Because it's that initial 2 years, 3 years of your company are the critical one, that whether that decides whether you're going to survive, and if you survive, what kind of company you're going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and that's pretty much sets a tone for the next 5 years. Is those first two,
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So one of the big problem that we saw in CCSI is that there were a lot of positions that were uh, already sold in a way, meaning that all revenue, the sale was already booked, but we are not able to staff the positions. And the reason for that was all the internal processes that
Mhm.
in order to hire the people to get to, and just lack of communication. So before we even started Right Solution officially, first 3 months of it, we focused on building that staffing organization. So we were probably the first one who had zero revenue and all
Yeah.
expenses to start with. because if for any IT services company, your employees are your is your revenue. It's not
Yeah.
the way we look at it. We don't look at them as expense. It is our revenue. So if we
Yeah.
cannot get the employees, why and the right employees that match with the culture of the organization we are trying to build, and spend the effort and time into it. Once the company starts, you start cutting the corners because it's natural, right? You, for a
Yeah.
startup, you're doing everything. Uh, because until you become certain size, you are the CEO and you are the janitor of the company,
Yeah.
pretty much. So how do we? So it was that initial 3 months of the time that we took that was one of the things. The second thing that we really thought about was the what did we really like about CSC when we why did we stick around in the same company for so many years? And
Mm-hmm.
frankly, it was CSC used to be one of the very few companies that actually had a pension plan, a
Yeah.
401k plan, and healthcare plan that paid for every employee. You
Yeah.
used to. They stopped doing that after some time, after 2009, I think. But initially, because I had offer from when I so this it's a funny story. I was a subcontractor to CSC at an insurance company in 1999. Yeah, 1997 actually. It
Yeah.
was a 6 months project. I did the project for them, and I left. And I had an
Yeah.
interview with Ernst and Young in Minneapolis there, and they gave me an offer there. And I was at the airport when the
Yeah.
CSC project manager called me and said, Manish, we want to hire you. I said,
Yeah.
what? I didn't even apply for the job. And he said, no, but we want to hire you. And I said, I just got an offer from ENY. I haven't signed yet, but I have an offer. He said, so just don't sign it. Hold on for 15 minutes. I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And then he sends me an email with the new offer and 15 minutes. And then he calls me
Wow.
back. Uh, and what why did I choose between ENY and CSC? ENY was a bigger brand name. CSC was not as big as the ENY. Um,
Yeah.
is because that project manager that was I was working for during my 6 months there, I was a technical person. I know how to write SQL. I had no
Okay.
idea about debits and credits and business. When they talk about in their meeting, I was just look at them like it's like all French to me. Uh,
Yeah.
he used to sit with me every evening from 5:30 to 7:30, and he taught me accounting and business.
Yeah.
If somebody takes that effort for a contractor so that
Yeah.
they become more productive,
Yeah.
that's the company I want to be part of.
Yeah.
And that's what made me sign that offer letter with CSC versus ENY. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I made that decision because it really truly awarded me for everything I did for them. I mean, I have done a lot of hard work, but that was the main reason. So now, if you take that into from the right solutions perspective, say, okay, that's the culture that we want to build, where an employee can call me anytime.
Mhm.
Even though we are startup, I should be doing more communication, more talking to them, and which I may not be able to do just because of how small we are from the overhead perspective.
Yeah.
And we have grown significantly. I mean, we have over 140 employees now. Um,
Yeah.
so that's, but intention and the processes that we're building is all geared towards that type of behavior, encouraging that type of behavior where you take time. We encouraged to take time and teach your juniors about things that they should. So those two things, and that's where that motto came from. Happy employees is equal to happy customer, because I understood accounting, I understood business, I was able to produce the technical solution for the customer, which made the customer happy, and I was able to do that because CSC project manager helped me understand. He taught me everything that I know about the business and accounting. And those
Yeah.
are the two main things that made right that are like foundation for the right solutions.
Yeah.
And then we have all the other benefits and all other aspects that we focus on. But it's all geared towards how do we make employee happy so that they make our customer happy. Uh, I mean, on the Golden
Every
Sherpa
yeah.
and the click side, it's a different type of app. And we already talked about the motivation there. It's all about
Yeah.
uh, uh, solving a specific problem. The success is very tricky word, right? How do you define a
Yeah.
success?
Yeah.
Uh, for us, from the right solution perspective, like as I mentioned, I think we are already successful because we have most of our employee, I mean, our turnover ratio is less than 3%, which is
Yeah.
unheard of. And we are not big company. We are a small company. We don't give hundreds and millions of dollars to anybody or a
Yeah.
share. We don't have shares to offer to our employees yet.
Yeah.
But despite of that, they stick with us because they see something that we are doing that resonates with them. For the
Yeah.
Golden Sherpa, I would say success would be that when we get rolled out, and people actually help their parents. Kids are actually
Mm.
able to help their parents, and we say that they actually did the right thing, and they found the right place through us. That would be a success from the world. So it's really about meeting that mission that we set out to meet, is what
Yeah.
defines to be the success.
I mean, so many little nuggets of invaluable guidance and information here, Manish. Even when I go back, I like to go back and review all these as podcasts. I know we are having a live show, but I love to listen to the conversation once again. And I feel like this is invaluable. People can take these almost as life lessons, things that you are sharing here today. Organizations go years. They preach that focus on your employees so your employees can take care of your customers, but you are actually living it. This is, you have made the employee as the center of as the focal point of your venture, so that they, in a sense, like you said, it's not a multi-million dollar salary structure, or it's not huge payouts in terms of bonuses and other things, but it's simply the loyalty and how you make them feel. And uh, I at at sounding cliche, I will just quote Maya Angelou. It's not it's not how you, people will remember at the end of the day how you made them feel versus what you said to them or what you did. They will remember how you made them feel. So in that sense, customer centricity, right? It's the services industry, customer centricity. And I had one of a previous guest also give his take on customer centricity, and there was something that he said that stuck with me, and I'll share that later. But I want to know, what does customer centricity mean to you then, in that sense? Because all in the services industry, it's all about the customer. So how do you not be customer centric, but also meaning you need to make it into a profitable business? It's a business, but at the same time, you have to be customer centric. So, how do you find that right balance?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would say, for first, let's define a customer. What is a
Yes,
customer?
let's
A
define
customer,
Yes, yes,
especially in the services industry, right? We don't have one group of customers. We have two groups of customers.
yeah,
One group of customer is your traditional customer, your end client that you're serving. But from my perspective, the second group of customer, equally important, is those your employees that are going to meet those requirements for your customer. So when
yeah,
you talk about customer centricity, it again goes back to our motto, right? Happy employees are equal to happy customer. Because
yeah,
if we take care of our internal customer, and there used to be a term called customer zero, which was used in
yeah,
different context, but I'm using it in different context here.
yeah,
But that's customer zero is truly the most important customer, because if you take care of that, a customer zero, your customer one is already taken care of. And then
mhm,
you build on top of those relationships and do other things that you do. every company does with the customer, those are fine. But
Mhm.
until you recognize that your most important customers is your employee, I think it's going to be very challenging for you to have a customer-centric organization. They need to be feel that they're empowered. They need to be feel that they have been taken care of. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, just think about in old. I'm probably much older, but in early late 90s when I was there,
Yeah.
company used to send us a small Christmas gift. It was nothing fancy,
Yeah.
but there used to be a basket with some cookies and this thing like that. Uh, it was not the value of what that basket was for, but it was about what that basket represented
Yeah.
was more important. It was, even though I never liked cookies, but I appreciated that anyway. Right? It's
Yeah.
something I still remember that I'm talking about it.
It's a
Uh,
gesture. Yes.
it's not the how much money you're giving or what you are giving. It's the intention behind it. It's the philosophy behind it is what important. And I think that's get lost. And when we talk about customer centric, we always talk about end customer. And I think that's the, in my opinion anyway, biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Because you forget your main customer, which is your employees in services, especially in the services industry. Um, I mean, obviously, every industry has a different way of going about doing things, but
Yeah.
that fact doesn't change. It's still your employee and your end customer. But if you take care of your customer zero, customer one is very easy to take care of.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at the customers. When we say that we are building customer-centric organization, it's really what that means is your employee-centric organization that works with your customer.
That's amazing. So, customer centric is essentially an employee centric organization that works well to take care of your customers. This is amazing. Fantastic point that you sort of teased out for us. Um, I just wanted to remind our audience that when we get into these conversations, we start talking about so many things. I don't want to lose focus on you guys. Thank you for joining today. So if you do have a question for Manish, he is available to answer live. Please post it on the platform, and I can ask him on your behalf. Um, Manish, I want to talk about innovation now. The clearly your startups have different audiences. You provide services mainly in this. So what is it's not true product innovation, it's not true technology, but you need to be aware of technology so that you can take advantage of technology. So in sense, what does innovation and the importance of innovation uh, for any of your startups, what does that mean for you? What is How do you innovate and stay ahead of the curve or stay at the cutting edge of technology, so to speak?
Yeah, so it's a, and my son even asks me the question, what are you doing innovative? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
what, in, and I've given a lot of thought about what is innovation, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays the fashion word is AI, right?
Yeah.
Even that people have changed the advertisement. Now everything is .ai. Uh,
Yeah.
to me, that's not an innovation. That's a fashion statement.
Okay.
Like we, as an IT services company, we develop, always every 2 3 years we create new fashion word, right? There was .com. There was then, I mean, cybersecurity became the big deal. Then there was all about data, and then there was analytics. Then there was cloud computing, and now there is AI. I mean, we have
Yeah.
to invent, quote unquote, invent these buzzwords so that there is a continuous spending goes on in IT. And this is our motive, right? We want to be able to serve. I'm not saying that they don't solve specific problem in the specific industry, but it becomes a fashion word, and people lose sight of why AI is important, right? Instead, we just start running after hiring hundreds of people to build the model, and then it's like you have a tool, now you're trying to find where to use it to solve what problem.
Yeah.
uh, so innovation can be very simply change in your process. That can be innovation. Innovation doesn't always have to be a technology problem. Technology is, you have to understand the technology and see how what it can do for you, and does it really solve the problem, or am I forcing that technology to solve the problem? It needs to be natural.
Yeah.
And like AI is a perfect example. A lot of everybody's talking about AI. Go into the
Yeah.
marketplace, right? What has actually happened? If you hear all the news and everything, you'll feel like everything is just turned into AI. There still exist mainframe jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you look
Mm-hmm.
at it, mainframes still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And those jobs are actually most lucrative jobs right now. If
Yes.
you between Java developers are very cheap now, but mainframe
Yeah.
developers, they are getting a lot of money, and those still exist. And there is modernization of those mainframe systems is going on, that
Mm-hmm.
nobody even talks about it because it's not fashion anymore, right? I mean,
Right.
oh, you do mainframe work? They don't look at it like it's something you shouldn't even talk about.
Yeah. Gen
But
X probably has to Google what mainframes were back in the
right.
day.
My son doesn't even know what it is actually.
Yes.
I mean, the cloud computing concept came from mainframe in a lot of
Right.
ways. There was a shared
Right.
computing concept. I mean, IBM was the leader in those days, and now look at what happened to IBM.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not the point. The point. The point is, innovation is become a fashion word, and I would, especially the younger, stay away from chasing the new buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
That's not implying that you shouldn't learn AI, you shouldn't learn new technologies. All that is implying don't fall into that trap. There are current problems that you need to focus on currently, and that's where you're going to gain the experience. As long as your fundamentals are strong, tomorrow's buzzword might be IA. I don't know what I stand for. I'm just making up.
Yeah.
But you'll be prepared for that new buzzword. And we all do that. I, as a right solution founder, I use buzzwords when I meet with the customer all the time, because without that, they don't want to listen to you.
Yes.
But in reality, the real solution to the problem may not be those buzzwords. It's
Yeah.
just the way people talk, and I mean, sometimes it hurts me to even see how why people that don't even have anything to any understanding of what it is. They talk about AI like it's they understand everything about it, and they really don't. And instead, what they should do is define the problem and let's solve the problem. AI can be see, you need people that understands what it can do and cannot do, and help
Yeah.
solve the problem. And that's where the innovation is going to come from. Like take example of Neuralink, right? There is there is a real problem that needs to be solved. It's putting
Mm-hmm.
a chip in your head to so that you can give some extended life and a respectable life to people that lose it because of your age is a real
Mm-hmm.
problem, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody has right to a respectable life.
Correct.
So those are real problems, and there is a AI application there. I mean, there is a truly AI application there.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to do my homework on Chat GPT is not an AI application. Okay, that's I mean,
That's
especially to
taking the easy way out.
right. That is not innovation in your
Yeah.
doing your homework.
Yeah.
That's cheating. uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and AI can write code and all that is great, and you should definitely use it because it increases your productivity. But that is not an innovation. That
Right.
is making tools available to you so that you become more productive. True innovations are always about solving a problem in the way it is not solved today. That is what innovation is about. It's never about specific technology or specific process or anything like that. It can be all of them, but I don't define innovation, AI as an innovation. I define how AI is going to be used to solve what problem as an innovation.
Yeah. So using the latest in digital technology or the latest in a transformative process or anything, applying that to the problem that you're solving in an innovative fashion, that is innovation
It doesn't
versus
even have
just
to be
chasing
latest
after a
technology.
buzz.
If mainframe solves the problem better, solve it,
Yes.
and that can be
Yes.
innovative.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a latest, greatest digital technology. It's the critical thing or innovative thing is how do you solve the problem.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how the light bulb came on. It mattered
Yes.
that light bulb came on.
It mattered that
That
it
is
came
the
on.
innovation.
That's fantastic. And so this journey, I'm sure it hasn't been riddled. You've reached or reached a sense of this state of awareness, or this state of success, or the learnings that you are able to share with us. I'm sure they've come with a fair share of a learning curve and the ups and downs, challenges that you have seen. Care to share any specific challenges or lessons with us?
Yeah, it's very important, especially in the case of startups. And we have been frankly thinking about this right solution, for example, starting since 2003. So it took us 13 years to make that jump, and the
Yeah,
reason for that, in retrospect, I would probably have done it much earlier, but you have that fear factor of losing a steady income, steady life. I mean,
yeah,
it does, and that fear always stayed with us, and that's why it took us CSC to do certain things that we just couldn't do to push us
yeah,
out, essentially. And in retrospect, I think the one thing I would always say: don't ever make decision based on fear. I think that's the bad decision. That, like, if I would have started this in 2003 or 2005, we would have been much further along, and there we had probably more contacts active at that time, so we could have gotten more work at that time than compared to now. It's that fear that caused us not to make a decision.
yeah,
So one major lesson learned is don't ever, in anything in your life, in my experience, is any decision that is made out of fear is most of the time wrong decision.
yeah.
So that's one thing that I would definitely emphasize is don't make decision based on the fear. Uh,
Having
could
the
you,
right temperament is key.
yeah.
Fear is not a good driver to decision making.
Right. And the second is be ready for some struggle. And like in our case, we were prepared for about 2 years. We just assumed that we are not going to have any income for 2 years
Yeah,
when we split the startup. The reason that is important is that gives you time because you are going to be anxious when you do the startup. There is enough anxiety, and adding a monetary anxiety on top of it is then you may start making the decision that you will regret later.
yeah,
So always have that plan. And I'm not, we are not into, I'm not saying that you should have a booklet of your strategy and plan defined upfront before you start up, because I think that's a wrong way to go, because you'll be writing books and it doesn't matter anything.
yeah,
Uh, so I'm not into that, but have one page where you say, okay, I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my bills. Am I ready to do that for next 2 years? Because that's
yeah,
how much time you should give yourself to really establish any startup and start getting income from that startup. So, and it can take less, it can take more, but on an average, what we found is 2 years is what we learned based on our research that it takes for any startup to start actually earning the money. So having that preparation, preparing your family with that really helps to take away that part of anxiety from your equation. You'll have plenty of other anxieties as you go through this startup journey.
yeah,
There are lots of ups and downs. I mean, I had contract that was awarded to me on Monday and got cancelled on Friday.
yeah,
So though all those are going to happen, that happens to everyone. There is nothing new I'm going to share there with you, but really giving yourself that much time and making sure your family is on board with that time, and what compromises you are going to make as a family during that time is very critical. It's more critical than preparing any kind of business plan, if you ask me. I mean, if you don't have a business plan, frankly, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
having that preparation with your family, that is the most critical thing that you can be doing before you start business.
Yeah, and that is the preparedness that you come to the table, that your family who's going to support you in this journey. I think you give them, you are affording them the courtesy of letting them come to terms with the process or the ups and downs in the process as well. Uh, Great advice there. Rahul, we have a question from Rahul Kumar. What's one mistake early stage founders make when thinking about their customers?
So I think I mentioned already, they don't define the customer correctly in many
Okay.
cases. Now it varies by industry. I realize that, so it's a generic question, so it's difficult to answer specifically. But
Yeah.
take your time to really understand the customers. Typically, in most cases, there is not going to be one, say, a group of customers. There's always going to be more than one group of, and if you do not address all your customers,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a very difficult journey for any startup. And
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, your family is your customer as well when you do the startup, because
Yes.
they are going to, they are the stakeholder in your company success or failure.
Yeah.
It affects them first, actually, before it affects any other customer or employee. So just take your time and think who really is your customer. It's not one.
Yeah. Really good advice there. So one more question from Anjali Singh. Um, What does customer first really mean to you in a day-to-day startup decision? And what advice would you give to startups struggling to connect with their target audience? On a
So
day-to-day basis, what is the customer first really meaning to you?
Yeah, there are two different questions in that one question. One
Yeah.
is, again, going back to define, okay, customer first is not like a slogan, right? Stop thinking that as a slogan, because if you set the objective of the company or the mission of the company properly in the beginning, like what we have done, happy employee, happy customer. So if you are focused on that, and like if I'm focused on employees, by definition, I'm focused on my customer.
Yeah.
First. So it's not an activity that I do that says customer first. It's what company does on day-to-day basis, how it, not what it does, it's how it does it. That
Yeah.
culture itself is defining what the customer first means. So
Yeah.
don't think there is an action I take every day that says customer first. It's not
Yeah.
about the action, it's about the culture of the company that defines that customer first on day-to-day basis. Uh, and
Fantastic.
again, having identifying that customer becomes very, very important, because it's not a one customer, it's group. There are
Yeah.
different groups of customer that you have. So that hopefully answers that part of it on day-to-day basis. Now, what was the second part of the question?
The second part is, what advice would you give to startups who are struggling to connect with the target audience?
So this is my experience. Yeah, Rahul may have different experience, but the reason that they struggle with it is because that we are trying to either have a message that you're building, what problem you're trying to solve, you're not able to communicate clearly, or that
Mm-hmm.
problem that you're saying that you're solving, your target audience is not recognizing that as a problem. Uh, that doesn't mean it's not a problem. It just they don't recognize it. They're not able to relate to that problem. That becomes
Mm-hmm.
in the first case, you're not communicating. That's a very easily solvable problem, because you just need to hone in on your communication and presentation strategy on how you're defining the problem and how you're defining the solution. So that's, you can work on yourself and keep it, go iterate through it. The other
Yeah.
is more difficult problem to solve, is where your target audience doesn't recognize what you're doing is a problem to be solved. That one you have to really think through and say, okay, am I solving the right problem? Or maybe I'm go back to your communication thing, and maybe I need to go back and to the drawing board and identify the problem differently. That
Yeah.
one is more difficult to solve and identify, because you're so much passionate about your idea, your vision is it's like you're wearing sunglasses. When you wear the
Yeah.
sunglasses, it all looks brown if you're wearing brown sunglasses. So in that case, it would be a good idea to talk to somebody who is separate from you, not your friend, somebody independent, maybe have a advisor or a mentor or somebody uh, that you can go and say, explain them what's happening and see what they say. So having that sounding independent sounding board will help you identify really why your target audience doesn't see what you're solving is what you're doing is solving a problem.
Amazing. Thank you for your question, Anjali, and thank you, Rahul.
Sorry, it was Anjali.
That's fine. And they post the questions to the platform, and then we bring it forward. And sometimes the names get confused, but I will respond to the audience once we are done with the conversation as well. We are coming close to our wrap-up time, so if there is another question, feel free to post it real quick. Else, I would, in the meantime, ask Manish your take on. Is digital technology a challenge or a threat today? And then is there a takeaway, a success takeaway that you can leave our audience with for today? So couple of questions.
Yeah,
If you want to combine the answer, that's great. If not, two separate questions for you
no,
as we wrap things up. Yeah.
I think they are kind of related. If you look, and it's always good to, I know we all hate history when we were in school, but history actually is a good teacher. I
Yes.
hated history when I was growing up, but now I realize it how important it was. Because if you look at throughout the history, through the Industrial Revolution all the way, every time there is a new thing came about, we all thought it was a threat, and it turned out to be the best thing for. I mean, you can argue best thing. Environmentalists may not think industrialization was the best thing, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, it improved human life on every. So similar to that, I think digital revolution, I think is when you look back in the history, 50 years from now, you see that's the best thing that happened, that made
Yeah.
our life more transparent, more connected. I mean, just think about how many friends you have never talked to after you left school. You talk to them just because
No.
of
Yes.
all these social media platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them I don't even recognize when I look at their photos. Okay, they look very different now. So that
Yeah.
all has become. I mean, I remember when I came to US to make a phone call, I had to call a number where then they had to connect me to the home telephone number, and it
Yes.
was 82 cents per minute. So
Yes.
you couldn't talk more than certain time, otherwise you'll go
Yeah.
bankrupt.
Very
And now
expensive. Yes.
yeah, it's that communication has become, I mean, no cost, almost no cost. I mean, there is always a cost, but it's hidden. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but it has brought the world together, and there are lots of things it has positive impact. There is with everything there is a positive and negatives, but I think it's mostly positive. So I do believe firmly any revolution that is how that happens, including the digital revolution and whatever comes next with AI, is all
Mm-hmm.
for good, and it's taking the humanity. It's going to make the humanity better. That's
Mm-hmm.
my belief. That's what I think history has shown over a period of time. Now,
Yeah.
some bad things comes out of it. We just have to deal with it. So don't be afraid of any. I mean, this changes. There's always going to be threat. Oh, AI is going to take away all my jobs. It's never going to
Yeah.
happen. There is going to be
Yeah.
new jobs. There may not be the same jobs. Like
Yeah.
everybody was doing farming and cottage industry, that became industrial worker, that became, so that transition is going to happen, but it's not going to be that I'm going to be out of job. There is going to be new types of jobs. We'll always invent something to do. We as a
Yeah.
human are very good at that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Manish. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and truly, truly glad that you were introduced to me and that I got a chance to get to know you as a person, and most importantly, as a startup founder. Good luck to you in everything that you take on in your ventures. And I also want to take a moment and thank our audience today. Our audience joins us from across the globe in India and then here on the East Coast. And in the past, they have also joined us from different time zones in the US. So I'm hoping they are listening in as well today. If not, the recording will be available. If you unfortunately missed this live session, the recording will be available once it is curated, and then you can listen to it as a podcast at your leisure. So thank you again to everybody. And Manish, it has been a pleasure and an honor. And then please come back anytime. We would love to host you again on the Customer Thrive Zone.
No, thank you for inviting me. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Very welcome. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your evening and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.